Flowers, eggs, and pollen time.
Ooh, it is eggs and pollen time and
Sneezing
flowers
and wheezing.
and sneezing and wheezing and Allegra. No, I'm kidding.
This session
All this good
sponsored by
stuff. Yeah, for really.
Claritin.
Yes, exactly. Joy and Rachel here. We would like to welcome you to You're All Right, Get Up, a podcast full of laughter, personal stories, encouragement, and often a show about living life. As a disclaimer, our podcast does not offer professional therapy or treat illness. We are a motivational supporting podcast sharing our life experiences, stories, and laughter.
And I encourage you to check out our website, allrightgetup.com, to shop online.
We want to give a shout out to Endeavor Promotions out of Birmingham, Alabama. Danny Kirkland and his team have really helped us tremendously with a lot of our promo items. So go to endeavorpromotions.com and check them out for yourself. You can reach out to them at 205-540-8292.
And I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is something that you're obsessed with? This is dangerous, I know.
This is really dangerous. There might be several things that I could say to that. But of course, one of them we all probably know based on some of the conversations we've had so far is Legos.
Woohoo! Expensive
Yeah, I don't know.
Legos.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they are expensive.
I need them to come down about half price.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's some really great ones. They've got some out there now that they are so multifunctional, right? I mean, they even work in many ways, like the way you would expect them to. Some with lights in them, some with motorized. They have this one that has like this motor in it, and actually it's like a lighthouse. It's really cool. But gosh, that's one of the things. So I would definitely say that. I would also actually just throw this in there is being outdoors. I really love being outside, especially when the weather's nice. Fishing is probably another one. So not many people know that about me because they're probably like, really? I didn't know that. But yeah, my mom and I did a lot of fishing together, so I enjoy it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I would also probably say Legos. And I know this is probably going to make me sound a little peculiar, but I love the show Bonanza.
Dum 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 dum. Right? I love that show. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved Westerns as a kid, and I watched a lot of different movies, and my mom's like, hey, there's some old TV Westerns on that I believe you would be interested as well. And I think at that time they were showing old reruns of Big Valley.
Oh yeah.
And then which was good. If I can say that, which was good. But I just fell in love with Bonanza, and she loved Little Joe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I loved Adam as a kid.
Right.
Yeah. And then, you go through the teenage years and you fall in love with boys and
of
stuff,
course.
or girls. And I was like stressed at work. And so I started rewatching it as an adult.
Yeah.
And fell in love with the show again. And this time, instead of Adam, I felt like I had, as an adult, I had greater needs. And I needed a wealthy guy who didn't live with his parents, who was very successful.
Yeah.
The community looked upon him very highly. And I like Ben, which was funny because I felt a little wrong. I guess I was kind of looking at it also from a child's point of view that I shouldn't like the dad.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Google him because he didn't look like the character's age, I was like, oh, okay. I'm older than him. I'm the cougar in this scenario.
Right.
But yeah, I might edit all this part out.
Yeah.
But anyway, Bonanza.
Oh yeah. Bonanza had such a great feel of drama and comedy.
Yeah.
And, so much of that Western, so much of that just really meshed and pulled in together. Because I remember a lot of the humor that really, gave me a lot of enjoyment and a lot of laughter just really watching it and giggling at some of their, the ways that they communicated together and so forth. So, yeah, I really liked it a lot.
Exactly. And I think the actors that they cast were great. They had the versatility, like you said, to do the comedy or the drama. So,
right.
I'm a Bonanza geek.
Nice.
There you go. I said it.
That is awesome.
And Stargate SG-1.
Oh, yeah.
Love me some Colonel O'Neill.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Great stuff.
Anyway.
And you guys have anything like that you want to share with us, please do. You can go out to info@allrightgetup.com and send it to us through email, or you can click on the answer button on our website and send us an email that way as well. So we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yes, we would love some engagement.
Right. We've had some
Interaction.
we've had some really good answers from some folks and some questions that we've had. For example, in a past episode, we had the question, what is one completely useless thing you can spend hours doing? We had a couple of folks send in some answers that they had for that. Carol sent in window shopping for RVs.
Nice.
So, hey, yes, you can go and look all day at those things, right? I mean, some of those, they really take your breath away. They've got some nice amenities in there. I'm sure if those folks who haven't looked, I mean, you really need to go out there and take a look at them most recently. Another person, DD Star Shaker, thanks for sending in the answer, worrying. I think that's a lot of what we do, right? I mean,
I've been there.
Yeah, we spend hours doing that. We probably need to work on some of our worrying, but that is the truth.
Yeah, I was overthinking something yesterday, actually, and I was like, let it go. Every time it popped in my mind, I was like, let it go.
Right.
Just let it go.
Exactly.
It was something that kind of hurt my feelings, to be honest, and I was like, the more there's nothing I can do. I can't go to this person.
Yeah.
It's a stranger in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And I just, was replaying things. I was like, you can't do anything. Just stop it.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes it can be hard to stop worrying.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, if it's become a problem for you, definitely seek out professional help for that. But like I say, I try to talk to myself in a positive way and encourage myself to just let it go.
Exactly.
Stop worrying about it. Stop trying to. It's one of those things, too. You think of 100 things to say afterwards.
Right.
And you're like, just let it go.
Right.
You can't change it. It's one of those situations, unfortunately, there's nothing you really do about it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in the self-care about talking to yourself and motivating yourself. And actually, that's something that most recently I probably relearned. Mm-hmm. Spent a lot of time doing that for myself to motivate and encourage. We're often really good at probably encouraging other people, but are we really good at encouraging ourselves? Probably
That's a very
not.
good point.
So, yeah, the practice, I mean, that's really what it is. It just takes a little practice, a little time to practice and make it part of your habit and stay with it. Don't give up, I mean, that's part of it. And you're all right. Get up. Yeah. It's good. So, yeah, just keep on and, just don't stop.
That's right. You've kind of mentioned or maybe hinted that your mom was a professional gymnast.
That's true. That really is true. Now,
wow.
Folks who are listening to this, who knew us and know us and, knew my mom, for those of you who don't, my mom is not with us anymore. She passed away fairly young. She had a relatively longer illness, but was extremely brave and very strong. Miss her every single day.
Yeah.
And it's very, very hard, which a lot of you know. But she was what I would call and what we would call a professional gymnast. However, she did not have that occupation for real. So just putting that out there for people who are going, oh, she's really lying. I know them. You know what I mean? But
I was thinking, I don't remember you telling me her professional career.
Yeah, we play on words there, mainly because really by trade, she was extremely crafty, very creative, was a florist and business owner. She owned her own flower shops, antique stores. She had a job working as a dispatcher and was a city clerk for many years. So she wore multiple hats.
That's impressive.
But was an entrepreneur. My dad and my mom both were. But yeah, she loved crafty, creative things, arts, things like that. So she was certainly a person that I would describe as very humorous, but also very bold, very brave, not afraid of anything. Willing to try anything.
Could be a dangerous combination.
And
brave and willing to try anything.
And one of the kindest souls that I've ever known in my life and probably ever will. So some little hints about this story, relatively short, but we used to live in a house that had a connecting flower shop. There were 2 occasions, or actually 3, where we had flower shops that were disconnected and were at different locations, okay? Mm-hmm. But this one instance, we had a flower shop that was, my dad was very crafty as well. He was a good builder. So he built the section on the side of the house that encompassed her flower shop. Wow. And then built inside cooler that we had for the flower shop as well. So, he poured all the concrete and of course they had the cooler itself brought in, but he did all of the framework and all that stuff.
Very
So
self-sufficient.
yeah, so our house, because of that, had a flower shop connected, but it had like a step where you would go up, right, into a different section. So then there was the flower shop, and there was like a little public bathroom, and there was a real heavy door that had like double bolts on it and everything. And that door, if you were able to, if you had a key and you could unlock it and open it, that would open up into our main part of our house, right? And so that section is where we lived all the time. So Mom had access to her shop and so forth. And so when you open that door, there was like this long, it was the whole length of the house. It was a very long den.
Oh, okay.
It was all hardwood, okay, except the small section that was probably like I don't know, I would say maybe an 8x8 linoleum. When you first come into the house, because to your right of that long den, there was another entry door that came from the outside, and it had a step as well. You would come up in, and you would come up inside on the linoleum. So if you picture this very, very, very long den, right, with a fireplace there, and to the right, where that linoleum is, there was a little step there with, like, you remember those swinging doors? This is dating me a little bit, right? The little swinging doors that
Like in the 1860s?
people would
I'm just playing.
Nice.
The bat doors?
Yeah, right. The little swinging doors, it's like you're in the Western, right? Think
Right.
of Bonanza. Yeah. So you have those little doors there. Well, we had those going into our kitchen, okay? And normally, we'd close them sometimes, but normally they were just kind of pushed like against the wall, right? Because you kind of push them back. And the carpet that we had, because we had carpet stepping up on that step going into the kitchen, but to the left, there was like a galley kitchen, and it had linoleum, but the carpet was in the dining area, which nowadays that just doesn't happen. But back then, that was just what you kind of had, right? I mean, you had carpet in certain areas where you had your dining table, and that might lead into a nice living room, you know what I mean, where people would have fancy furniture or things like that. Yeah, a formal kind of living room. So that kind of gives you an idea of some of the structure. Well, I'm going to tell you, you're going to laugh because you tease me about this actually most of the time. We were not early for most things.
That's surprising.
My mom was usually late. Now, she would usually get there on time, but of course, Daddy was always like ready to go. He was like, okay, it's an hour before we need to leave, and I'm ready. We're ready to go. But he was always very patient, very kind, and easygoing about it. But Mama was usually always late, and she was dragging the kids, especially me, right along behind her. Well, I can remember this particular time. She's getting ready, and she's kind of in a rush because she's trying to be like, okay, I got to get these things done. And, naturally a business person, an entrepreneur, and you've got things going, and you're like, okay, I got to get you where you need to go. And, when you're running your own business, you're like, okay, I mean, I have a little flexibility, but still I got to get there, when I need to get there. So it's hilarious for me to even think about this, right? So she's back there and she's getting dressed. And usually when she was dressing, it was like, don't bother me until I'm finished, because there was such a process. I mean, and I think we all go through that, right? We're like, at least most of us women do. Because she's back there. She's like, okay, getting warm back here anyway. Because it's like she'd be back there and it'd be steaming, where she's like the hair dryer or just taking a shower. And she's like, oh, where's that fan? I got to get that fan going. And, she's a little hot natured anyway. So she's like, get that fan going, and she's getting dressed and about ready to go. And of course, I remember I was in the den, okay? And as a kid, I was, are you ready to go? Now, when I say, I'm ready, Joy, are you ready to go? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I'm in the den and I'm waiting. I'm not sure what all I was doing at that time, but I know I was standing close by, okay? And she's getting dressed. She's got on, at the time, I think she was doing her dispatcher job, and she had on her uniform because she wore one of the uniforms like most of the deputies did at the time. But she had these shoes that, were open toe. right?
Right.
They were kind of like slip on, but then they had the little open toe with a little wide band that would go across the top, right? As she was coming through the kitchen, she was kind of grabbing her last minute stuff, coffee, kind of in a cup, blah, 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 and like a travel cup. And on that edge of that step where those doors are, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a little gap in the carpet where when you rub your feet and you walk across it just enough, it starts to fray just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets a little frayed on the edge of the step. And so if you picture across that den, right, and how kind of wide it is and how long it is, there's a fish aquarium, about 20 gallons worth of fish aquarium
Oh, goody.
sitting on the other side of that den. And here she comes. She comes flying through the kitchen. She grabs her cup. She hits that step. And just as she hits that step, the end of her shoe catches that fray on that step, right? And as it does, she hits that linoleum floor and she goes arms stretched out in front. Full body stretch and sliding all the way across that den.
Safe.
Right up underneath that fish aquarium.
Oh, no.
And luckily, that fish aquarium stayed put. As a kid, I think I'm standing there with my mouth almost like wide open. I probably could have caught a handful of bees at that point. I'm not sure. Standing there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Mom, are you okay? She did a total slide and safe right into the other side.
She's so lucky she
of
didn't
the
knock over that
wall.
aquarium.
I know. I mean, I think about it now and I'm like, wow, that must have been some tricky moving on her part.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Not
Uh-huh.
to take out, like, because it really does make you think. You're like, wow, if that thing really had fallen, that would have been a bad deal. But, yeah, she's shaking this thing off like, oh my gosh, like what just happened? What?
Where am I?
Where am I? What is this? And I think at that point, I was so shocked. And then all of a sudden the giggles started because she realized she had on like hose because, women back then wore hose a lot more common. And she had this big rip. Luckily, she was completely fine other than a couple of bruises, but had this big rip right up that pantyhose line on her leg. She was like, okay, we're going to be late. She's like, we're just going to be late. She's like, I'm going to go back here and change my pantyhose and I'll be right back. And I was like, she looked at me and she's like, do you want to go get breakfast?
I've done that
I
before.
was like,
What's another 10 minutes?
absolutely. At this point, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
It sounds like she's more of a professional base stiller.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I guess you could say like a professional softball player, right?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah. That's just crazy to think about because coming off, that's the same step, honestly, that gave me the biggest black eye that I've ever had.
Oh, wow.
So my dad, he was always an avid weather watcher, meaning that not so much like we didn't have computers and all that as much back then, right? So, but he would be outside, like watching the weather, and coming in to give you your report. And that's the funny
It's
part.
raining.
It's like, yeah. So I'm going to walk out for a second and tell you how fast the wind's blowing and how much it's raining. Hang on just a second. I'll be right back. And he comes back and he says, yeah, it's raining.
It's raining hard.
It's the wind's blowing too, and it's enough to mess up your hair. So be sure to put a hat on. So not making fun of that, but that's what we
Right.
did, right? I mean,
Right.
we were just like that kind of weather watcher where we'd go out and check the weather, and then we would report it back.
It's
So-
real time.
yeah, real time stuff. So I run out. My mom is basically saying, Joy, run out there and tell your dad to come back in the house. She never liked him to be out there.
Yeah.
She's like, go out there and tell him to come back in here. Why is he out there? It's raining, it's thundering, it's, whatever. So here I go. I go out there. Daddy, Mama wants you to come in the house. Okay, all right, I'll be in there in a minute. Go tell her that, it's doing this. Okay. So I'm the runner, which I guess I was pretty good at that back then. Except I didn't have very good feet, apparently. I come running in the house. I hit that linoleum I just told you about. And when I hit that linoleum, my face hit that step. That one coming off the kitchen.
Ooh.
Apparently that step really did not like our family. Not at all.
It's like, this is my arch enemy. You just step.
Right, exactly. But no, I had the biggest black eye, and I had this huge knot under my eye.
Uh-huh.
And I've got pictures of that too, where Mama, she was so worried about that too. When we went to the doctor, she said, is this something that we're going to have to worry about? Is it going to be, a thing to where, she's going to have this knot here for a long time? He's like, no. I think it'll be just fine. It'll go away. But it was just like an egg, there for a while. And yeah, when I went to school, everybody was looking at me like, what happened to you, Well, I had a fight with a step and I lost. So
every time.
Right. Of course, I'm not sure that I didn't probably have a little better story than to tell them that I
it's
fell.
It's much better.
Yeah. So
I'm sure you did.
There you go. But, I probably gained a few kudos for having a really cool black eye back then, especially from the boys, because, they were like, ooh, it's all different colors. It's like.
Did I tell you how I got a black eye as an adult?
No.
I'm sorry to steal your story.
No,
So I don't know if you've ever done this where you're in bed and the covers kind of get below, like maybe your waist, and you want to bring them up to your face or neck.
Yeah.
Not maybe you're not your face. Well, I went.
I think I can feel where this is going.
I hope there's other people, not wishing anything bad, but surely other people have experienced this, where I went to pull the cover back up and it got snagged on something. And I don't remember if the dog was at the bottom of the bed or what.
Right.
But when I went to snatch it up, somehow the cover stayed where it was and my hand kept moving and I hit my own face with my fist.
Oh my gosh.
And then you're like, ow.
Oh man.
I think I just gave myself a black eye trying to get the cover up,
Did it turn all black? And
it wasn't like a terrible black eye. I mean, I could pretty much hide it with makeup, but then you feel like people are questioning you.
Right.
Because you could kind of see. I was not somebody who just kept applying makeup all throughout the day, so kind of towards the end.
Right.
From rubbing your eyes or something like that, you could kind of see it down at the bottom. It wasn't a huge black eye, but it was enough to notice there's purple.
Right.
And then you have to go, and then they're like, did somebody hit you? And I'm like, no. Well, technically, yes, but it was me. Then they're trying to figure out how did you hit yourself? Covers. They stayed.
Going to bed.
And then you kind of get mad, like, gosh, how did I hit my own self? It's a very embarrassing story.
I've had something similar happen, where I would pull on something like that and then wallop myself, somehow. And I'm like, oh.
And then you're like,
I'm so brave.
How?
Wow. I'm pretty strong. Wow.
that hurt.
Yeah.
Then I feel like I'm going okay. I've never been in a fight before, but I feel like I can rumble now.
Right.
I've taken myself out.
Starts to give you a little kudos.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I didn't realize how tough
Overly
I was.
confident.
I gave
Rocky.
it and I took it all at the same time.
Rocky here, like, don't mess with me.
Right.
Boom.
Oh man, that'll build up your confidence quick.
Well, you'll be overly confident.
Yeah. So my question is, maybe they should put this in the Olympics.
Who's gonna win? The face or the fist?
Yeah, exactly.
And then
is everybody ready? Do you have your covers in your hand?
And then my sweet loving husband, can't go a podcast without mentioning his name. Brian's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, not really. It kind of hurt." You know how when you hit yourself in the eye, it kind of does that weird,
Right.
vision thing.
Yeah.
Like it's like a shock. Like your eye just is like, "What happened?" I didn't know we're gonna fight.
Right.
And I'm like, it hurts. It's kind of throbby.
I don't know. I might have to milk that just a little bit and put on an eye patch.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Be like, oh yeah, I gotta wear an eye patch. It's you probably can't look at it.
No, it's too bad.
Yeah, it's just too bad.
You won't make it.
Right.
Only a professional needs to see this.
Right. Oh, good stuff. I think one thing we can take from this story and some of the things that we've mentioned today is many times when things happen just out of nowhere, just something crazy, something unexpected, we're shocked. I mean, we don't really know how to take it. We don't know. We're not really sure what to do in that moment, I think we're standing there with our mouth open, probably like,
What just happened?
what just happened? What am I supposed to do? But I think at that time we can really hear the words, you're all right, get up. It's okay. And oftentimes that's a way of slowing us down. It's a way of saying, hey, pause and just be grateful. Think, everybody's okay right now. And really just take that time to be grateful, to be thankful, to slow down, to pause. And jokingly, we were laughing about, hey, go have breakfast, Just take some time for yourself. Take that self-care time, that time to, really pamper yourself, make yourself feel better, do something good for you. And there are priorities and there are things, there's responsibilities. And actually, there's so many pressures today, probably too many on most of us, but we do have to make that part of our life. We have to make that time to be good to ourselves, be kind to ourselves, and to be good to each other. And I want you to do that today. I want you to take that challenge to do something good for yourself this week and be kind to somebody else. So take what you do for yourself, be good to yourself, make yourself feel good, and then turn around and go, hey, you look really great in that outfit today. Or you did something super cool this week and I really appreciate it. Make somebody feel good. Go do it. Go be great. Remember, you are stronger than you think. Don't give up. If you feel overwhelmed and you can't do it on your own, reach out to a caring friend, pastor, or counselor. And if you feel like you've reached rock bottom, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline has caring people available 24/7, and they can be reached by dialing or texting 988.
Remember to stay healthy, stay connected, and know that you matter. Till next time, friends.